In this video, I'm going to give you my review on these, the Revvies energy strips. I had seen adverts for these on social media and the claims about how they can boost your energy. And naturally, as a sport nutritionist, I wanted to find out more. So I decided to go ahead and order some, test them out, and then make a video about what I thought on them. Now for upfront transparency, I bought these with my own money and I'm not affiliated or sponsored by Revvies in any way. I do this with any products that I review so that I can give as unbiased a review as possible for you guys. And if you're new here, by the way, then hey, my name's James and I'm a sport nutritionist and love to talk about all things related to that. So these Revvies strips piqued my interest because of their claims around instant energy boosts. That's always a dangerous one for me because it raises my suspicion about how legit something is. We're going to go through what they do, how well they work, whether I would actually recommend them, and more. And I'll say that there are things that I both love and hate about them. Actually, hate is probably a bit of a strong word. Strongly dislike. Yeah, that's better. There are things that I love and strongly dislike about them. So let's start with asking the question of what do they do? Well, the Revvies energy strips are essentially just a caffeine source. They're dissolvable strips that you put on your tongue and then you absorb the caffeine, which gives you the energy boost. Now, when I say energy boost here, that's actually one of my biggest issues with it. It's pernickety, but it's important. I'll touch on this more later, but these strips don't give you energy in the truest sense of the word. It doesn't provide any meaningful amount of calories, but it does give you caffeine. So for now, let's focus on the caffeine side of things. Caffeine is an incredible tool for basically anyone doing exercise. Runners, cyclists, triathletes, football, whatever sport you do, caffeine probably has shown benefits in a study. It's a really good thing. Now let's bring it back to Revvies and what they're trying to do differently. You'll see plenty of caffeine-based products out there. Gels, drinks, and tablets as the main ones. Revvies energy strips are aiming to use absorption through your mouth through the various tissues that you've got there. Revvies claim that it acts a lot faster. Now really what we want to know is whether there is any scientific evidence that supports this. And actually there definitely is, and this is one of the things that I love about the Revvies caffeine strips. Yeah, I'm gonna call them caffeine strips, not energy strips. I love that it's a sports product that's using innovative ways to improve performance. We've used medicines for ages which have a sublingual or buccal route. For example, I might prescribe a medication to a patient which they can spray under their tongue or put between their cheek and their gums, and that's the same thing. It's actually a very good route for absorption and certainly is a quicker route than, for example, taking a caffeine pill. To be fair, there are already caffeine products that use this because you can buy caffeinated gum, and that uses the same mechanism. But this is the first melt I've seen, which to me makes this unique. So yes, this is a great way to use caffeine in a sporting context, and that's a definite plus for them. As to whether I felt benefits using them, I would say I did. I thought they did work quickly, and I can only describe it as the expected sensation after any sort of caffeinated drink or product. Nothing too obvious, just more awake and alert than previously, and able to perform well in my training sessions. I tested these strips at various points of the day, including first thing in the morning, later on in the morning, or in the afternoon before a training session. To me, each time felt noticeable within the realms of what's expected from caffeine. So first impressions are great. It's an innovative product and it seems to work, and I love that. What I don't love, and strongly dislike, is that they are called energy strips. They absolutely 100% do not provide energy in the strict sense of the word. In fact, they quite clearly show on the front that they contain less than 1 calorie per strip. Now, you might be thinking you are just being pernickety. They give you caffeine and an energy boost from that. So yeah, they do provide an energy boost in the casual everyday sense, but they do not provide calories. This wouldn't really be an issue as such if we weren't talking about them in a sport context. People are going to use these during an endurance event like a marathon or triathlon, or during other times when they will actually need energy. So my problem is that if people don't already know about sports nutrition, carbohydrate intake and fueling strategies, these will cause a problem. I could easily see that people will use these instead of properly fueling themselves with whatever they need. Most likely things like carbohydrate drinks or gels, because they have the energy strips. We already have a big enough problem in endurance sports with people not fueling their training or racing adequately, and honestly I think this just adds to it. But if you're watching this and wondering about whether to use them, my advice would be that they are brilliant at what they are meant to do, which is provide caffeine, but they absolutely will not provide you energy in that strict term. If you're doing an endurance event that is over 90 minutes and you're taking the Revvies strips with you for your energy needs, I can promise you that you will bonk or hit the wall or feel totally flat, whatever you want to call it, by the end of the event because you haven't actually taken any calories on board. So that's the end of my rant about these. I'll get off my soapbox and move on to other good things about them. Yo, quick extra video. Now I know I said that was the end of my ranting, but it's not. Since I recorded the main part of this video, I had a couple of extra Revvies ads pop up on my social media. I saw this one on Facebook and thought I'd have a look through the comments. Unfortunately, I saw comments which were exactly what I was worried about. People posting about swapping their gels for the Revvies strips because they don't like their gels or something like that. And it seems like all Revvies are doing are replying and saying, well, hey, great, thanks for sharing and thanks for using our products. There's no mention about fueling requirements or that their strips are not direct replacements for gels. This is really infuriating and it's irresponsible from Revvies in my opinion. So just thought I would share that. The Revvies caffeine strips come in these small little card packs which just get posted through your door in a normal envelope, and I like the convenience of them. Inside you've got the caffeine strips in some foil. Inside the foil, you've got your strip, which is what you put on your tongue to melt. For me, the packaging and setup is great. It's minimal and it's easy to fit in a pocket without taking up too much room. They're easy to open and use on the go, including if you're using gloves, because the opening strip is large. I tried 3 of the flavors, which were the Arctic Charge, the Tropical Hit, and the Cola Lemon Charge. I thought all of them were pretty good, although I kind of wish the Arctic Charge was a bit stronger in taste. It's a minty type taste, and I would really like it to have a bit of more punch to it, so you get a real sensation hit at the same time. My favourite was the Tropical Hit. It was pleasant and fruity, but not overpowering. All of them had a slightly bitter aftertaste, which is quite normal with caffeinated products. So you place them onto your tongue to melt, and actually I had some varying experiences with how well they melted. Some seemed to take a long time to melt, whilst others melted pretty quickly and without any fuss. My biggest issue though is that they are sticky, and what inevitably happened was once I put them onto my tongue, they then ended up getting stuck on the roof of my mouth. Now the Revvies website says that you can rub it between the roof of your mouth and your tongue to help dissolve it. Sometimes I found that experience a bit unpleasant and I had to get my finger into my mouth to pull them off the roof so that I could move it around a bit again. I found this pretty irritating, but as I said, some strips seem to be better than others. For some people this might not be an issue, but just be warned, you might have little bits of it stuck in places around your mouth. So if you're likely to be wearing gloves, you're cycling, or you just find that kind of thing annoying, then these might not be ideal for you. So let's talk about when you might use them and then a bit of a sum up. Revvies gives you a handy little guide and directions for use, and you'll see it suggests endurance and team sports, working out and work, home and study. Now I think caffeine has a place in almost every sport and their guidance for sports is fine. Normal caffeine guidance for an effective dose is between 1 to 3 milligrams of caffeine per kilogram of body weight, which would be between about 55 to 300 milligrams of caffeine for most people. Revvies strips contain either 40 milligrams or 100 milligrams of caffeine, so you could tailor this to your needs. As for the work, home and study, I'm less convinced by that. I mean, it would work, but personally I would just prefer a cup of tea or coffee, but hey, you might find that you like this. Actually, I think if that Arctic Charge flavour was a bit stronger, then I could kind of see that being a thing. It would be a bit like a refreshing Polo or chewing gum with a bit of a caffeine kick. Anyway, if your sport falls into one of those broad categories and you follow their guidance, then that should be great from a caffeine point of view. One of the things you'll see on their website and on social media is about how they are easy on your stomach. And that might be an important point for some people. We know that caffeine can contribute to gastrointestinal upset, so bloating, cramps, or diarrhea. And so using a caffeine strip that just dissolves in your mouth might be handy because you shouldn't get the same impact on your gut. You can separate your caffeine from your hydration and from your carbohydrate intake, which is definitely a good option to have, and for certain athletes who might want the caffeine hit but suffer with the side effects, this could be a great alternative. However, be warned that it will still likely cause gut stimulation, so if you're someone who needs to poo after drinking caffeine, you'll probably still get that. Now, to give you a bit of perspective, what other sources of caffeine could you use during exercise? So you have gels, which may contain caffeine, as well as drinks, gum, or caffeine pills. Depending on your preference, these are all viable options too. For some people, it might make a lot of sense to use the caffeine strips, but for others, it is essentially an added extra thing to carry, focus, and use. If you're already using drinks or gels as part of your actual energy fueling plan, then it probably makes sense to just use a product that contains both if you can tolerate it. But if you want to separate them out, or for example, you don't like the taste of other caffeinated products, then the Revvies strips would be good for that. Overall, I love the concept of these caffeine strips and think that they are a great way to effectively provide caffeine. My minor functional drawback is that they can be a bit sticky in your mouth and irritating, which for me was an annoyance, but others might be fine with. As mentioned, my major issue is really the marketing and the fact that they don't provide calories and don't actually help with fueling requirements. And they don't make it clear on their packaging or websites that athletes still need to consider their genuine energy needs. But if we take that as an aside, I think this is a solid product that will probably be useful for a lot of athletes, and I like to see new, novel sports nutrition options on the market. Hopefully that's covered everything for you, but if it hasn't, then let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. Now, I've also done reviews on other sports nutrition brands and products, and I've put some of those videos up on the screen for you now so that you can watch them.